You are listening to the CWL podcast. Are you ready? Hey everybody, it's Kate. I am the host of the Creative Women's League podcast. Creative Women's League is here to dish up motivation, inspiration, know-how, and my personal favorite, community. We have 2 podcasts per week. Our Wednesday episodes are a new interview with a creative badass every week. I love it. We hear her journey to how she became the powerhouse she is today. I love those episodes so much. Today, however, is Mindful Monday. These are very dear to my heart because I never thought anybody would listen to them, and they are some of the most popular episodes. This is just a 10-minute episode-ish, around near 10 minutes, where we talk about our lives. No. I keep laughing because you guys know that last week Brad sat with me, and this is a new episode with Brad. I hate doing these intros with him sitting here. This is something I do in a dark room by myself, and now I have somebody staring at me. Mindful Mondays, Brad.
Monday fun day.
Monday fun day. This is where we just do 10-ish minute talk.
Last week I think it was like 15. So you're right the first time.
Let me cut down. Last week's will be cut down. I'm going to cut out all the parts with you in it.
Oh.
I have to cut us down because we ramble.
That's for the best.
So, if you listened to last week, Brad brought up a really fun point, which is the first thing I really talked to Brad about was I asked him about his podcast and how they record it and how I could start my own. And now we are a year and a half from that point.
Yeah.
And I love him. And we've been able to accept our love for one another. It's a whole story. A lot of listeners know some of the ins and outs of it. But yeah, Brad and I sit here today, literally sit here on the floor recording.
My foot is slowly falling asleep.
We sit here on the floor at his mom's house today. And I really liked the last episode. I wanted to cover today part of this whole like creative couples series, I guess you could call it, the guilt of being a creative person in a couple. There's often times where Brad will message me and be like, hey, let's meet up for lunch. Hey, do you want to come over tonight? And I have to deny those things, which are things I actually really want to be doing. But I have to deny them because I have CWL stuff I have to do. And I hate it. It makes me feel... My initial reaction to that is that I am not a good girlfriend. And actually, it was a lot of the reason why I really pushed Brad away at first when we started dating about a year ago, was because I didn't believe I could do both.
And, for me, my show is, takes such a different production level than Kate's. Because there are 4 of us that do work on the show, and we do split out the responsibilities amongst ourselves. I kind of have like the least amount of responsibilities on my show.
As it should be.
No. I mean, look, that's neither here nor there. Basically, when it comes down to it, Kate does everything for the show. And so, a lot of times you kind of have to go, okay, yeah, no, I get it. She's got work to do. So you just kind of let her do her thing. And, you find the time that you can and maximize the amount of it that you get. Like anytime that we have a free moment, we'll make time for one another. If I find myself, in a position where I'm just doing classwork, I can, do it on the couch next to Kate at her house so it just finding ways to, make sure that we're able to spend that time together and really sort of making sure that, we do get as many opportunities to spend time with one another as we can.
And you're a lot cooler headed than I am. I kind of go with my initial panic reaction. So sometimes you'll text and be like, let's do this. And I'm like, I can't. The world is ending. I can't do that. And you kind of come in with a cooler head of like, okay, calm down. No problem. This will be fine. And even in the case of like last week where I was really having a hard time. I was very busy. I had an emotionally exhausting week and a physically exhausting one, not feeling well. You just showed up at my house, and I would have told you no, by the way. I think we both know that. I would have been like, don't come over here. I have to do so much, blah, blah, blah. But you just showed up, and you were just there to hang out, and it was really great because then I got stuff done, but I could get it done with you there. So I think that your level-headedness helps out. My initial reaction is always guilt. I don't know what the hell that's about.
See, I sort of take it from the perspective of, there are certain sacrifices you have to make, and you do have to establish that sort of work-life balance where, you can find that happy medium around, making your priorities and still taking enough time out for yourself that you can really sort of, not get overwhelmed by everything and make sure that you're in a position where, stuff that you're doing is still fun to you.
You helped me with that a lot. I just did that Instagram post recently where I called your text right out. I put it right on there because you helped me realize I have to go lay down. I don't feel well. Like, I have to take time to just hang out with you. You and I have also, by the way. You said maximize our time together. We've gotten a lot better about putting our phones away. Neither of us look at our phones as much when we're together, and we really make sure to dedicate our time. So it's so much more concentrated than like just...
Yeah, because there's so much time when we're not together where we can be looking at our phone. Like, it's just little things like that where, we have so much time away from each other where we're already looking at our phones. And not to sound, like I'm 45 years old and complaining about the kids these days, not looking at the world around them. But, it in a relationship, especially one like ours, which is, we've only been dating now for a little over a year. We've known each other for about a year and a half. But, we're still very early in our relationship and still finding things out about one another. So just being able to enjoy the most out of the time that we have together is really, what it's all about.
Absolutely. We're also in a unique position. We are moving in together this summer, but we don't live together right now.
No, we live about a half hour apart from one another. And
and like the most difficult half hour. This is not a straight shot. Right? Like, I feel like, I don't know. I guess that's just a minor complaint
I'm the kind of person where, like, I don't mind driving places because it gives me sort of just some me time to think about. Like, I enjoy, moderate drives by myself because it gives me sort of time to think and listen to either audiobooks or podcasts or even, just music to put in the background so I can enjoy myself in silence. But it also gives me that time to sort of get things out of the way before I come see you. So it helps, now I'm not as concerned about these other things. So now on the way to you.
Like a decompression time?
Yeah, exactly. It gives me time to get all those things out of the way first when I can't do anything else. So now I have all that time I can dedicate to you.
Yeah, that's fair, because there are times where we get together and talk about the guilt. Like, since I'm feeling the guilt goes both ways. I mean, if I'm hanging out and having a great time, then I feel like there is this to-do list that is piling up. I don't deserve any success. I mean, truly, let's be really real here. Let's go to the darkest parts of the brain, right? Where you go, if I'm not working on Creative Women's League all the time, then I don't deserve the success. Then why would it ever grow? Then I'm a fraud. All those really awful things that you think about yourself, or I think about myself sometimes. And then if I'm working on Creative Women's League, but I know that you're nearby and you want to go to lunch, I'm like, well, if you hadn't done these things before, if you had done these things before, if you didn't procrastinate, you could be a better girlfriend. You need to be a better girlfriend.
I mean, there's always those what ifs, but I mean, really, it just falls into, taking out time for self-care and really sort of enjoying everything around you while you have the time to do so. I mean, of course, it boils down to, sort of, again, going back to the work-life balance and just finding out, hey, you have to like establish that I'm on the clock right now. So I need to get this, and this done while I'm working, and then I can go enjoy something afterwards. And to me, my biggest thing was always sort of finding ways to incorporate both fun and the tasks I'm working on, and making sure that, I'm rewarding myself for finishing those tasks by then going out and doing something. So it's sort of the dessert after, all the vegetables I have to eat.
I like the vegetables. The vegetables. Ooh, I'm hungry now. So let's get to the meat and potato. Oh God, now food again. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of it, really. I'm going to ask the question, and we'll see. Brad doesn't know what question this is. Oh, I'm going to propose to him. No, don't get excited. I'm not doing that. Okay, here's the real question. When I have to rebuff your proposals for hanging out. I don't know if this is going a weird way. If you ask me to hang out, if you ask me to do something, if you want to plan something with me, and I say once, twice, 3 times in a row, no, I cannot do that. Are you upset? Do you feel like I'm a bad girlfriend? Do you feel like I have done a poor job of planning and that would make these things better?
So here's the thing. Like, at first I'll be like slightly disappointed, and then I'll realize like I'm kind of being a little selfish right now. She's got work that she has to finish. So, because I know how I would respond in that situation, where I knew if I had something to do, I would want to take care of it first before I then moved on to doing something else. So for me, at first it's always that like, oh, I have this opportunity to do something fun. Oh, it kind of sucks that she can't, but she's also working, so I understand entirely. It's, for me, I realize that, the way I prioritize things, getting the job done that I need to get done first always sort of takes precedence over those things. So in that case, I would view it as sort of, if I didn't sort of have that perspective, it would be a little hypocritical on my end. So then I try to remain, objective about that. And so that's when I sort of go like, okay, I understand. It's not a problem.
I would want to say this before we head out too. It would be remiss. Is that the word?
You would be remiss.
There we go. To not point out the fact that we don't have children that live with us in Orlando. We have Jade down here in West Palm Beach, and our time with Jade gets to be so dedicated to her because that's what we do. We take out a whole weekend for her. So we don't have the added element of I feel terrible that I didn't hang out with my child, like a lot of creative women do, where they have to take away time from that child, because our time with Jade gets to be so dedicated. I always wish we could be down here more, which I think will be coming in the future, but I just think that that's another thing to point out, that like, I understand, I've heard from a lot of you who feel bad that at the end of the night you have to go do your creative business as well, and it takes time away from your kids, but ultimately, I just really believe it's something you have to do for yourself. And like Brad said, getting better with the time you can allot for those people. Like, don't half-ass 2 things, whole-ass 1 thing.
Yeah, I sort of look at it as the dessert and the vegetables thing. I have to get through the stuff that I might not enjoy so much first, but I know I have to get it done in order to then later on enjoy the more fun thing, so that way I can get to it. So the sooner I knock that out and I just get it out of the way, then I can go have all the fun I want. So that's the way I sort of approach it.
And this is a work in progress. I don't really have an answer for this one. I just wanted Brad's perspective on all of it, because I've heard from so many of you that feel so guilty about taking time away from a spouse, a significant other, from children. So I just really wanted to hash it out with the other party in this.
But it rolls into what I said last week too, in that, when I see you doing well, it also makes me feel really well too. So just encouraging you to do the best job that you can, it also, helps out in that sense, because I know ultimately, what you're doing is something that you enjoy doing. So it's not it's not so hard when it becomes like, oh, she's working on this because it's something that she loves doing,
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. And I think we have to wrap up the episode because both of our feet are falling asleep.
We're sitting like cross-legged
Indian
on the
style.
floor, and
Oh, it's probably not called Indian style.
whoa.
That was some 90s non-politically correct. Okay, we're sitting cross-legged. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again. I want to hear what you have to say about this. We're going to be talking about it on the Instagram and in the Facebook group. I know that we've all got lots of feelings about this one. Like I said, I mean, I don't think a week goes by that somebody doesn't mention something about this, about the guilt they feel. So let's hash it out together. Let's talk about it. And thank you so much to Brad again. This has been so much fun to look into his cute, goofy face while I do these episodes. Love you, Brad.
Love you, Kate.
And we will see you Wednesday for a new episode of the Creative Women's League, an awesome interview. And don't worry, Brad isn't involved at all.
I mean...
No. You're still here? It's over. Go home.